Whether it's around the country or your town or county, decisions are being made every day that impact real people and real communities. Welcome to The Rural View, where we open the window for you to view Wisconsin farmers and rural residents and get a glimpse into the challenges they face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our show. I'm Jim Wren, and I'm along with
Amy Eckelberg.
Yeah, we're here with Ashley Schlender, who is our District 1 rep for the P&E committee, and we're going to talk a little bit about P&E and her and what she's involved with and some about her farm. So, Amy, I'll let you kick it off. I know we've had some blessing $1 million rains around the area for the state, so I think everybody's in a great mood. But you know, as farmers, we always got something to complain about. So,
Well, we're gonna keep the complaining hopefully lighthearted today because everyone,
well,
like
of
you said, is
course,
in a good mood, and it's June Dairy Month, so everyone
it
is
is.
full to the brim in their ice cream and cheese curds for breakfast. So, I don't think there's really any grumpiness around that. But why don't we, Ashley, if you want to just kind of share with us a little bit about yourself, so our listeners can kind of just get to know you a little bit about like your part of the world and your farm.
Sure. So I hail from Watertown, which is in Jefferson County. Like Jim said, it's in District 1. My husband Troy and I have a dairy farm outside of Watertown. We have our two boys, Trent, who's 18, and Duke, who's 14. They help us on the farm. We have a robotic dairy, so we have 4 dealer valve robots, and we're milking about 250 cows. We do pretty much everything on farm ourselves, including chopping and custom chopping for other farms. And we just stay really busy. Our farm name is Never Rest Dairy. And I tell my husband all the time, he lives up to it a little too much sometimes.
So did
I
you
think that's any farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Did you grow up on a farm yourself?
I did. My family had dairy cows until I was in about 5th grade. And then we had draft horses. So I showed draft horses after that. And that's actually how Troy and I met. He was showing dairy at Wisconsin State Fair, and I was showing draft horses, and had a little unique meeting at the fair. So that's not something that just anyone can say. That's how they met.
So you went down the hill to the dairy barn, did you?
I did. He saw us going down the hill in our wagons down to the
Yep,
Coliseum, and he's like, "Oh, that looks kind of neat."
That's
that's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. So talk a little bit about just you guys have robots on your farm.
hmm
So maybe talk about like, where you started. How did you decide to bring on robots? What does the current setup look like compared to past
Yeah.
years?
Sure. We actually have had robots on farm for over 12 years. It'll be actually just 13 coming up here. We were milking in a parlor, and we decided around the 2012 time that we needed to expand a little bit, not necessarily increase our cow numbers, but our parlor was getting old and things like that. And we really did our homework to figure out what was going to be the best fit for us, because we knew we needed to build new housing for the cows and everything. So we decided to try robots. We actually started with a different brand, not Dealer Valve, and had those for about 10 years. They were AMS Galaxy robots, and that technology was bought out. So we decided 2 years ago to switch to Dealer Valve, and it's been a really good fit for us. So we have the robotic milking. We also have an automated feed pusher for pushing up feed in that barn. Our barn incorporates automatic alley scrapers as well. So really keeping our girls moving, no pun intended, moving in the robot barn there. It's been a good fit for us. Obviously, there's challenges with any kind of technology, but it really allows flexibility for us to do like our field work and things like that and still take really good care of our cows.
So can you tell, is the farm originally from obviously your husband's side, and is there any family members also involved with it on his side of the family?
Yeah, good question. So my husband is the 3rd generation for his family milking on this farm. He does have 3 siblings that help out on the farm with field work and things like that, but it is solely owned by my husband and I. His dad unfortunately passed away in 2004, so we kind of had to make that decision. What are we going to do? And we decided to stick with it. And then our boys, like I said, Trent is 18. He just graduated from high school. He's planning on going to River Falls for their short course. So he's excited to do that this fall. And he is planning on sticking with the farm after that. And our younger son, he hasn't decided yet. He's thinking about being a plumber. So, which can be an asset as well for us.
There's a lot of plumbing on farms, isn't there?
Yes.
That usually tends to break.
And usually on a holiday or during the
Yep.
fair is my
Yep.
experience.
It's either really hot. Well,
You know, they always charge overtime on holidays, so maybe he'll be nice to you.
Right.
right. Yeah, it's either hot or really cold
Exactly.
is when they seem to break. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement with Jefferson County Farm Bureau?
Certainly. I serve on our board for Jefferson County, and I'm we said P&E before. P&E stands for Promotion and Engagement. So I'm the Promotion and Engagement Chair for Jefferson County, and I help a little bit with A in the classroom. I just help with whatever is needed. One thing of note that we started in the last few years that I'm excited about is we started up a meat raffle, and it's a big fundraiser that we do in Jefferson County. What's unique about our meat raffle is we get donations from local farmers and businesses, whether it's meat or whatever other product that they're making, and that's what we raffle off. And our goal with that is to connect maybe not a person that necessarily always knows a lot of farmers or producers of different products and connect them with some consumers and that. So it's a neat thing. It's been our third year, and each year we've had a little more success and a lot of engagement, I guess, which is what our goal was. So that's something I'm excited that we feature in our county.
I can contest. It was a packed establishment, we might say.
Yeah.
And everybody had a great time, and it was a great fundraiser for the Jefferson County Farm Bureau. And you had a lot of involvement from the other board members, so it's great to see.
Yeah, I have to say, like, the other board members are very supportive of the idea. I came to a meeting one month and I was like, I've got this idea. What do you guys think? And they definitely support me and help me out with that. So I appreciate that.
When it comes to your county makeup, Ashley, you explained what P&E meant, but we also talked about District 1. So District 1 is the southeast corner of the state. And you guys have a lot of, urban sprawl. So maybe just, Jefferson County, do you still have a pretty good amount of rural parts? Do you have a lot of urban parts too? Like when you guys are talking about events, especially for consumer outreach, what does that conversation look like for you?
Yeah, I would say Jefferson County still has a fair amount of rural. However, we do have some pretty big communities there. It can be a challenge to pick a good location because, as I think anyone who's trying to plan an event, the challenge is how do we get the people there? I like to, in my experience, focus on events or planning things where how can we get and reach people that are already there? So, for instance, my district for District 1, last year I worked along with Carrie Shaneke for District 2. Our district event was, we called it Sip and Savor, and we had cheese samples and other products, and we went to a winery. We really did luck out. Not only did they have a band playing, but they had a bus of vintners that had come from Milwaukee. So we got like double the amount of traffic than we were expecting. But again, in that situation, I feel like it was easier to meet the people where they were as opposed to trying to pull them in because everyone's so busy. It's not that anyone means anything or aren't interested, but there's only so many hours in the day for each of us. So I guess hopefully that answered your question. That's how I approach it, I guess.
No, I think that's fantastic. I think a lot of times, especially with Farm Bureau events, but any events, I think people are trying to recreate something that, you should either be looking at partnering with somebody who already has a well-established event or going to where a big group is, whether that's a local
Right.
farmers market or a community event that's already established, because you're going to have the bodies there and people are going to be going there rather than trying to get them to somewhere new. I love that. I think that's a really good tip for people to think about when they're planning events.
Sometimes you got to think outside of the box, and that's the old saying, KISS. When we can bring events like that to something that's already going on, it makes it a whole lot easier for everybody else. And
Correct.
like you say, you get more bang for your buck having, a busload of people from Milwaukee that
Yeah. They were excited to see us with cheese and food after I think that was the third winery stop. They were definitely interested to chat with us. So
free food is always a good seller.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you gonna remind us what KISS stands for, Jim?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, there we go. I knew that you'd deliver on that. That's good.
Well, I said stupid, but
We'll just go with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about just your Farm Bureau involvement. You are on the state committee for promotion and engagement. So maybe just talk, how many years have you been on that? I didn't refresh my memory on that.
Yeah, I'm just starting my third year of my first term. So there's definitely, it's nothing that anyone does wrong. It's a learning curve because I didn't really, to be honest, know a lot about P&E when I started, which obviously that is a driver for me to try to teach as many people as possible about what P&E is. So I feel like now starting my third year, I feel comfortable in my role and understand what my goals are and what it's about. And I really enjoy being on the committee. So there's one representative from each district that I get to work with, and we have 4 in-person meetings where we come together in various places in the state. I actually got to host our last meeting that we had in April. We take turns hosting in each district for our April meeting, so I got to have that here at our farm. We met, and then we went to some local businesses and agriculture places in the area while they were here. So part of our process for our in-person meetings is setting goals for our committee and then planning some of our events. For instance, we have our biggest event that we plan is called Cultivate and Connect, which I encourage you all to consider attending. We're having that in February each year. This next year is in Rothschild, but we work on all the programming, planning speakers and things like that. So it's a really great opportunity, not only to provide training for other members, but obviously it's experience for myself as well for planning and working with a group on some of these goals.
And if you could give like a one-liner, because I think you're right. I think a lot of times our members are like, what is promotion and engagement? But like, how do you explain it to people?
Yeah.
I mean, point blank, what is it?
Yeah. So Wendy's going to be so proud of me. Those of you that know Wendy from the state office, that is another thing that we work on is personal development. And she's been really working with us to fine tune being able to say that. It's not necessarily a one liner, but the main thing that I would say that promotion and engagement is doing is we're working to offer meaningful opportunities for farmers and consumers to have conversations or do activities, whether that's on a farm, it could be at a county fair, breakfast on the farm, or any other public setting, so that they can hopefully that they're engaging and the farmer can then educate the consumer on where their food comes from. We do also, like I said, work to provide training for other members so that they can feel comfortable in those settings and conversations. And long term, we hope to be that advocate for agriculture. And when I say advocate, it just means that we are that trusted source of information so that whether it's your neighbor down the street or an elected official, when they have a question about agriculture, we want them to come to somebody that's a farmer rather than I always like to say, ask a farmer, not Google.
so what's a good way for those people, whether it be Milwaukee County or somebody in Waukesha or Jefferson or anybody in District 1, a good way to get a hold of you or,
Yeah.
somebody in agriculture?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyone who's interested in getting involved in promotion and engagement can certainly reach out by going to the website, WFBF website, and the contact information for your P&E person is there, or you can talk to your district coordinator or your county person. Even if your county doesn't have one, they can connect you to the right person. We also have some events that we participate as a state committee that you're more than welcome to come to see what it's about before you necessarily commit to doing your own thing. For instance, at Wisconsin State Fair, we have a booth set up for the Foundation Day where we have some kind of activity to engage with the fair goers. We also just had recently, for this year, it's already passed, but we participated in Eau Claire, I believe it was. They had the beef night out. So we had some of our committee members there. So there's lots of ways that you can get involved, and we would certainly welcome you because the more the merrier, and we need all different points of view and different types of farms and things like that to represent what does ag mean in Wisconsin.
So you kind of teed it up for me, but I'd like to know how you got involved with Farm Bureau.
Yeah. So initially, my involvement with Farm Bureau was one of my neighbors. He asked if I would be willing to help with going into classrooms and talking to second graders about agriculture. He's like, I think you would be really good at that. And I do really enjoy teaching youth about agriculture. So that is how they got me started. And it just kind of spiraled pretty quickly from there. So they kind of hooked me, and now I'm sold.
One of the things that we kind of talked a little bit about, we talked about education, and you just talked about the importance of education, is we are celebrating 10 years of the Peony Committee. And something that maybe some people listening don't know is it actually is called the Promotion and Ed- Promotion and Education. I can't even say it the old way anymore because I've been training myself.
Yes.
But recently we've changed the name to Promotion and Engagement. So can you talk about a little bit as a committee member, like why is that slight word change important? What is the difference and what is kind of the background on that?
Yeah. So at the ASBF level, they had been for a long time promotion and in education. See, I even
I
stumble on
know
it
it's
now too,
really
still,
hard.
because I've
We're
trained
all going to
myself
be
to.
doing that for a lot of
I
years.
know. So initially that had been started. It was just the backstory is there used to be, and there still is in some counties and some states, something called Women's Committee. But there was a decision to move forward a little bit and make it a little more inclusive for anyone. So a lot of the programming is very similar to what Women's Committee used to offer, where we're engaging with consumers and things like that. But to involve all members, they had switched to that promotion and education name. However, at times there was confusion where people kind of grouped our activities and our programming with A in the Classroom, which is obviously a very good program and things like that. But we really want to like hone in on we're really looking at adult consumers and the people that are buying the food products and things like that. So that is why we switched to that engagement instead of education, because we really are a lot of what we do is just engaging in a conversation. We joked when we were putting together the proposal for the state board to consider the name change. People don't want to be educated, they want to be engaged. So we felt like it fit what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I love how you explain that. I think that makes total sense. And when I think about even just what we need going forward, agriculture is less than 2% of the entire population. And I think sometimes maybe that's a good question for you. Does that seem daunting? Because I think it seems daunting. But I think when you phrase it as we're looking to engage people about agriculture, to me, the weight doesn't seem to be as heavy. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think what I what was overwhelming for me when I first got onto the committee was, for instance, they said you need to host a district event. And that sounded so overwhelming to me because I was like, how can I have an event that I think it's 9 counties in my district. How can I reach people in Milwaukee from where I am in Jefferson? But then I had to train my brain to realize, obviously, should keep striving, but whatever event I have, even if it's close by in Jefferson County, it's still making an effect and it's a ripple effect. So each thing that you plan, you can't like teach the whole world at one time, right? You can teach a few people that might show up at your event and you hope that that trickles down the line. I hope that kind of answers what you're asking there, but it can be a little overwhelming. But if you just look at each time you talk with someone as an opportunity to hopefully have them come away with a positive message about agriculture, then you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah, I was gonna even just bring up your shirt. Like, your shirt right there, the committee
Yeah.
put together that awesome shirt. Says, "Ask me about agriculture." You could be literally walking down an aisle in a store wearing that shirt, and somebody might engage with you. And I think that's also part of it of, looking for those opportunities and just one-on-one is just as important. You have no idea what their network is, and having that touch point as a farmer and agriculturist is so important.
Yeah. One of the activities that we have to offer, it's called Ask a Farmer, and it's really popular. They started that at the ASBF level, and we brought it back to Wisconsin. And it's as simple as having maybe a table and like a sign that says ask. Either we do our ask me about agriculture because some of the our committee members aren't actually farmers, but they're involved in ag in other ways. But whether they have that ask me about agriculture or ask a farmer, And it's just a way for those people to have an opportunity to just chat. No pressure.
I was just going to ask, why do you think that's important to be able to do that?
To have those conversations, or
Yeah.
I think conversations are important because there are, like Amy had mentioned, about 2% of us that are feeding our nation. And so many people are not aware or don't consider why we do the things we do or how it works or why. For instance, one of the major questions I'm asked is, why do you take the baby calves away from their mom? So it's really important for me to say it's not us being mean. I explain like how we're caring for the calf and the great life they have. We try to do a lot of farm tours and things like that on our farm, and it's always one of my main points I want people to leave our farm with is look at our cows, look at how happy they are and healthy and the positive things that are happening. So that's why I think those conversations are important, because you don't know, like, they might not even know the questions to ask unless they're talking with a farmer, whether it's someone like me who's a dairy farmer or whatever. I enjoy talking to the people on my committee because they have very different backgrounds than I do, and I learn from them as well.
What is some of those interesting questions that you've been asked, or any that have been challenging to answer?
So one challenging question is, how do you talk about what happens to animals when they're done here at the farm? And I'm matter of fact, but I'm not cold about it. We talk, and obviously you have to gauge like your audience, if it's an adult versus a young child, the way you deal with it. But that is a tricky question because you don't know what their background and their feelings on that topic, could be. Some people are understand, but they could be upset. So I just try to be compassionate and I talk about how we give them the best life that we possibly can while they're here and those kinds of things. It's always fun when I have school groups out and they're asking me questions about how we have babies and how that all works. That's always a fun topic to talk about. I glaze over the things they need to know and I say, you can talk to your parents about that.
As someone who has a child who's starting to piece things together, it is fascinating how kids' brains work.
Yeah.
In farm tours, I mean, we do farm tours as well. And one thing that kind of always amazes me is when the moms don't quite understand the fact that the cow has to have a baby to give milk. What? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's part of
We
the
just
education thing.
Yes, we just had a 4-H club here, and they are rather rural kids. Granted, some of them were quite young, but I was asked that question just yesterday. We walked into our robotic milking cow barn, and somebody said, "Are these all girls?" And I said, "Yes, they are." And then obviously, I'm very gracious, very kind, and we go through, well, why does
Right.
that have to be? And we work through it together. But yeah, it is interesting some of the questions you get.
And it's not that it's a bad question. It just amazes me.
Yeah,
And I think it's just
correct.
because of the lack of information, and when you tell them, well, gestation's 9 months, just like humans. Yes, they have to have a baby before they can give milk. So,
Yeah.
it's not just dairy end of things. I mean, I often teach about, did you know that every silk at the end of corn is a kernel? And people don't, they don't always put that together, So there's a lot of
Right.
interesting ag facts that we as promoters of agriculture can do. And like you say, there's only 2% of us and we can only
Yeah.
spread ourselves out so thin. And so you have
And
an important and valuable job to do. I think everybody in agriculture does.
yeah, and I think something to keep in mind, it's okay to not know the answer to every question. That is a piece of the conversation too, is being okay with saying, I don't have the answer to your question right now, but I can certainly connect you with someone who could help you with that, because they trust us enough to ask us. So it's important to, meet them in the middle and say, we'll figure this out together. That's another part of that relationship.
One of the things I just wanted to, you kind of, talked about your Farm Bureau involvement, and I know you do a lot of the stuff about engaging consumers. But what is like your favorite part of your Farm Bureau membership journey? Like, what is something that sticks out in your mind for that?
I do enjoy the trainings. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy the advocacy, for instance. And I'm very new on that journey of learning about how we can have an impact with legislation and things like that. But honestly, my favorite part about being a part of Farm Bureau is the networking with other farmers and just hearing their story and connecting with them. I love having that ability. For instance, last year I went to an AFBF conference. I even connected with people there. I maybe didn't get to have a deep, conversation with them, but I still connected with them on social media because it's neat to see their story unfold as you're friends with them on social media. And I enjoy having that ability to say, hey, I know a farmer that's in whatever state. And maybe if I ever get there, I would know someone that I could connect with who could point me in the right direction to learn about their agriculture and what they have to offer in that state. So that networking piece is really big to me.
And then a follow up to that, we do a lot of trainings and you guys share a lot of tips about sharing your story. So, what would be your top 3 tips in sharing
Oh,
your farm story or your agriculture story from all of your different trainings and conferences that you've attended? What is maybe your top 3?
okay. The first thing that popped in my head when you said that was be authentic, be yourself. First of all, it makes the conversation easier, right? It's just your true self that you're sharing. Don't feel like we have, like I said, a lot of schools and 4-H clubs that come to our farm, and sometimes it's a little crazy around here, and that's just meaning like maybe the trailer isn't quite how we, parked where we want it to be, and maybe the lawn isn't perfectly mowed, but this is us, then you're invited to come along for the ride and see what we have to offer. So that's the biggest thing I can think of. I feel like I should have had answers ready for this.
Well, it's kind of broad. I didn't specify, social media or anything. I know you guys, I think if I remember it, you guys dabble a little bit with some social media storytelling.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think use whatever medium works for you. If you're going to touch on, social media and that, it's not as big of a strong suit for myself. However, my son, Trent, he has a YouTube channel called Never Rest Farming, and he has gotten such good feedback. He's obviously not a professional per se by any means. He started doing this during COVID, just for something to do, and it has definitely blossomed into something where we literally have people from around the world. So, and in there too, he is it's his authentic self. Sometimes his mother cringes a little because, oh, I'll look at it and maybe the grammar isn't perfect and things like that. But you know what? People really resonate with Trent because he's just this farm kid that's sharing what we do on our farms. And sometimes it's silly things, but people enjoy that because it makes them see the
Original.
human side, yeah, the original or human side of this is our family, this is how we live every day. It's not just like this persona that we're putting out there is another piece of it. And yeah, I just think you'd be surprised, like don't be afraid. I guess my third like tip or piece to share is don't be afraid to bring it up in settings that you wouldn't normally think. Not that you have to be browbeating and constantly talking about it, but just saying to someone, yeah, I'm a dairy farmer and, XYZ thing happened today, and they might be interested, and it could start again one of those conversations that you never would have guessed that can be so impactful.
where's the most unique place that you've had a conversation about
Oh
farming?
goodness. Anywhere. The airport. My husband and I, we try to get away for at least a week once a year. And so we will be anywhere. And
There's still some people that, actually have ties to agriculture, but, you know, if we don't keep talking about it or presenting it, that number's going to fade.
yeah, I do feel like those people that had that past connection, when you talk to them about your egg story, it makes them feel like they're part of it still. Even though maybe they don't have that direct connection anymore, they feel like they become a part of your story to an extent.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, I think that's true. You're kind of filling that void. Like it's not that they don't want to be connected to agriculture, they just truly don't have an outlet.
Right.
So I think you're right. I think that's been my experience too. I spend every Saturday at a farmer's market, and I mean, the amount of people who wanted to talk to me about growing whatever plants, I'm by no means an expert.
Asparagus.
I have no idea. Yes, I don't. I am not a good asparagus grower, but sure, let's talk about it. And I think that's what people seek, is to learn and feel like they're a part of that section of a lifestyle that they don't really get access to anymore.
That's like our code word, Ashley, is asparagus on the.
Okay, I was like, where are we going with this?
So you'll have to
Uh,
go back and look at past
Okay.
podcasts
Yes.
and
I
you'll get
haven't
the whole.
seen. I gotta apologize, Jim. I haven't gotten to watch or listen to any of the ones that you've hosted, so I'm gonna have to do my homework, I guess, tonight and listen. Well, it's been a little bit busy.
Well,
It's gonna take that
now,
to heart.
I think you're going to have to get 5 people to like our
There you
show
go.
now. Because
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's a good challenge.
at the last board meeting, Amy said that I was out if I couldn't get membership up. So,
I didn't really say it like that. I mean,
well,
maybe.
it was, I can read between the lines, Amy.
No pressure on me at all.
Yeah.
No.
No pressure
So now
at
you
all.
have an assignment, Ashley.
All right, I will work at that.
All right. Well, do we have anything else on promotion and engagement we want to ask Ashley? Otherwise, I think we can head into our quickfire questions.
Anything
I just
else?
want to do my pitch. I just want to do my
Yes.
pitch to keep in mind. I had mentioned Cultivate Connect, which is our premier event that my committee, not my committee, but the state committee, P&E committee plans. And this next year in 2027, it's going to be February 19th and 20th in Rothschild. We have some great things planned. I don't know if I'm allowed to say quite yet what we have planned, but we are already hard at work planning out the sessions. And our Friday evening, there's always a event that's off site where we get to tour some kind of agriculture business or something like that. So we have some really good things in the works. So I encourage you to mark the date, February 19th and 20th, 2027.
That was an awesome plug. Yes. And last year's event was fantastic. We had Modern Day Farm Chick there, and we had a really great lineup of speakers at that one. I know a lot of our members really enjoyed that event, and I know we've been promoting the Save the Date already for next year. So yeah, we'll have to do a little just sneak peek until we actually have things signed, because I don't think anything's super confirmed yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we'll have
Well,
to share those out when we do.
that way they can check the website and find out.
Yeah. Good job, Jim. That was good.
All right.
Or
I
they
do
could
know
come.
about the rapid fire, so I hope I'm ready.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is they could come to the podcast and find out too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's thousands of people watching.
Yeah, probably more than that now, Jim.
Well,
You've
now
brought
that
'em-
Ashley's going to find 5, and then that's going to keep going.
I'm a
Everybody
firm
in
believer in the
Jefferson
trickle
County.
effect, right? Trickle
Yep,
effect.
everybody in Jefferson County is going to be watching now.
You know what? We're gonna make a knockoff shirt from the Peony committee, and it's gonna say "Ask me about the Rural View podcast, Jim," and then you can go around and
Yes.
one
There
by
you
one
go.
to listen. Yes.
Well, we could have ask me about agriculture on the front, and then rural view on the back.
There
There you
you go.
go.
I thought you were going to
Or
say, ask me about asparagus at first.
that'll be on the
old guy.
sleeve.
Got it.
That'll be on the sleeve.
But I don't want people to ask me
I
about
know.
asparagus. I don't know about it.
Well,
gotta
you
find
don't
your
want them to
friends
ask
first.
me. You don't want them to ask me about asparagus.
Yeah. No, he doesn't like it. So yeah, you have to go an episode back. It'll make a little bit more sense then. But
I'll
all
check
right,
it out.
Jim, kick us off on these rapid fire questions.
All right, Ashley, we always have to ask, and being a dairy farmer, it's always
Okay.
good. And I always find it interesting, but chocolate milk or white milk?
Chocolate.
And not all the time, but a lot of dairy farmers who deal with milk all the time, they love chocolate milk.
It's
I
special.
mean, they love all kinds of milk, but
Yes, I do too.
You know what's a good flavor of milk that maybe we should incorporate? Maybe we should do a really random one next time, Jim, of like root beer milk or cherry milk. Like, the specialty flavors. That
Yes.
would be
That's
that'd
what
be
I
it.
was thinking of. At State Fair, for instance, they have the specialty flavors.
You know what? Actually, they're being announced soon, like this week
Oh,
soon. So I know them, but I can't share them quite yet.
okay. That means
wow.
it's summer if they're announcing the State Fair milk.
Yes.
flavors.
You can head to Gather Wisconsin social channels or the Wisconsin State Fair Foundation, and they should be out soon. So that's my little plug.
I didn't even
Wow.
plug Gather Wisconsin, but yes, certainly check out Gather Wisconsin website as well. Yes.
All right, we are going to follow up this dairy theme with what is your favorite type of cheese? I know that's a pretty easy one because we have more than 600 varieties and types. So, I mean, I'm sure picking just one is super easy.
I would say the first one that comes to mind is Butterkäse.
Well, who makes that again? Do you know?
It's a more of a specialty type cheese. There's a family in our area, Hildebrands, they have that. And actually, our cooperative where we ship our milk, they're getting some of the milk processed somewhere, and that's one that they offer as well. We're just starting up an on-farm store, and we're hoping to offer cheese from our processor soon.
That's super cool. It's very soft cheese, right?
Yeah, it's good for grilled cheese sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Ooh.
I remember. I think one
We
of the
can have
specialty
grilled
ones
cheese
was that.
and asparagus sandwiches.
If you're gonna eat asparagus with toast, it's got to be creamed asparagus on top of the toast, not in between. That's just kind of weird, but anyway.
I'll take your word for it. All right. My question, planting or harvesting,
Harvesting.
and why?
As much as I enjoy the whole process of growing plants, that means the end is in sight, and the lie that farmers tell themselves that after this is done, it'll be less busy. I can believe that illusion.
Yes.
But
I
then the
feel that.
holidays come, and then it's busy some more. So again, it's just an illusion, but whatever works.
That's a good transition, actually, because my next question is, what is your favorite holiday?
I love Thanksgiving. I love the food aspect and the family part of Thanksgiving.
What about your favorite sports team?
Oh boy. Favorite sports team. The first one that came to mind is Green Bay Packers. I'm not a huge big sports person. I enjoy my boys played soccer for many years, and I really enjoy watching them. So my most recent school teams are Lakeside Lutheran soccer team.
There you go.
Nice. That's a good one. I feel like that's a good local plug. All right, our last one is, what is your absolute favorite Farm Bureau event and why?
Ooh, that's loaded. Favorite Farm Bureau event. I do really enjoy the annual meeting in the Dells. It's exciting to see everybody come together. I've really only attended, I think, 3 years now. And the first time I stepped in, it was just impressive to see such a group of dedicated people during a very busy time of year to come together for something that's so important, which is uniting together so that we can work for a common good and common cause. So I do really enjoy annual meeting.
Yeah, that's a common answer. I think it's a good event, especially that time of year. It just feels good to get together around the holidays. So,
Correct.
Yeah, it's like the start of the whole season, and hopefully everybody's done harvesting, and Amy is running around.
just a little bit, yeah.
I suppose you
Definitely.
probably are like, that is not my favorite event because I work so hard.
I will say I don't know if that would be my answer. Not because I don't love it, but it looks a little bit different on the staff side.
Sure.
Not in a bad way. It's just very long days, and you're a lot of hoping and praying everything goes how you plan for it to go. Yeah, I
And
definitely
it
never see the
does.
water
It all
here,
comes out.
oh yeah, it's a good thing. But all right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Ashley, and
course.
getting to know you a little bit better and talking about promotion and engagement, which is super important and is going to continue to be in many, many years to come. So we'll sign
Thanks for
off.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say anytime, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if you can take more than one episode with Gemini.
I guess I'll just have to do a little research on asparagus if I want to circle back. Hey.
Yes. Now I'm going to go
Right.
look up members who have asparagus farms. And so this is gonna be a mission of mine, since apparently it's not gonna go away.
And everybody can look for you. And probably next time is down at State Fair
Yep. I'll be
to
there.
the Ask the Farmer booth, and hopefully it doesn't rain like it did last year.
Yeah. No kidding. We couldn't even have it that time.
Yeah. So we'll be excited to see everybody, and don't be afraid to stop Ashley in the store and ask her about agriculture.
Exactly. Happy June Dairy Month.
Happy June Dairy Month.
Interested in more news from Wisconsin Farm Bureau? Subscribe to Ag Newswire. Delivered weekly to your email inbox, Ag Newswire is your connection to the latest news from Wisconsin Farm Bureau and the agriculture industry. Subscribe now at the link in our show notes.